Anita Ray and Patrick Agunza on the Hot Drive.
Amazing guest in studio. Welcome so much to the studio.
Thank you very much.
I have a feeling like Leo, like a dread, was a dread is watching amazing dreadlocks. Thank you so much for coming into 196 and welcome so much for coming through on Amazing Monday. So we want you to first of all introduce yourself before we start about you, where you grew up, who you are, and why you have this twang when you talk in English.
Hakuna twang. What do you mean?
Hey, brother, Iko.
But anyway, my name is Jay Ngiro.
Yes.
Born and brought up in Mathare Valley. Now I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, I've been there for like 10 years. I'm married to Susan Ngiro with one daughter and one on the way.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm also the president, the founder and president of Sauti Award, Sauti One, and Sauti Radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start. You said Mathare Valley.
Yes.
That's Mathare Moja.
Mathare
Valley.
Yeah.
So how is it growing up from the slums and you becoming to who you are today? Because that's what we're trying to look at.
Right.
From where you've come from to where you are right now. So
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I was born in, like I said, Mathare, and it's one of those places where if you don't know anything about Mathare, is one thing when people are in Mathare, especially in my time, we thought like we are in our own world, that nobody cares about us, and you know, a kid most of the time will end up, you may be a thief or a prostitute, and growing up without food and clothing and all that, and especially as a man, growing up, you don't have anything to eat, that's like, you feel, especially as a young boy, that was one of the hardest things, coming home, especially when you talk about soccer and all that, you're coming home hoping that, hey, I'm going to find something to eat, and then you get home, all of a sudden, there's nothing, and my mom or my grandma would have to tell us, we don't have anything to eat, and we'll go to bed hungry. And so that happened.
But did you have siblings or it was just you?
I have brothers. We have 4 brothers in my family.
Okay.
But what happens is that because of difficulties in Mathare, and this happens across in many slum areas, my mom, after we were born, my dad was nowhere to be seen. And that happened to my cousins as well. And so after everything happened, we all ended up staying to my grandmother. So it's like this 1 10 by 10 room, and we are like to like if you open the door, we just pour outside like that. And so yeah, just having that, and one thing actually people don't know if it hits some people. You know, when kids are born, they don't realize that they are poor.
True.
And so you're born in this place, and you have all these expectations, especially if your friends are saying, oh, we eat chapol, we do this, and so even you're like, oh, you're bragging, saying that you're gonna have all these things to eat. But then you go home, you don't have anything to eat. You live in a house where it's matope. Like you can hear what the next neighbor is even whispering. And that means when they cook, you can smell, you can even hear when they're eating. And here you are in the next room, you don't have anything to eat, and you're going to bed hungry. And then you're going to wake up hungry, of course. And then the life continues. Those difficulties, they happen a lot to many people, and it happened to me as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did that, let's go to, we already know you grew up in that situation. So how did that change into a good or a bad thing for you? Because at the end of the day, you were where you are today.
Correct.
And if you keep dwelling on what did not happen or what happened, most people in the ghetto listening us today have had that. That's their daily life.
Yes, that's
you
like
sleep without, you sleep without, and you wake up without, and that's okay.
Yeah.
For them, bora uhai,
Right.
bora. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
So how did you make a change in your life? Let's start there.
For me, honestly, it was a process. And of course, nothing happens instantly.
Nothing.
Because growing up there and not having anything, and you're like, what about next? What about tomorrow? What about the future? Yeah. And that led me to, as a man, you know, one thing about a man, if you put me in a corner, like, I was born as a provider. So even when I was a little boy, I was like, what am I going to do? I found myself in the streets of Nairobi, and I became what we call chokoras.
Yeah.
So I was begging for food and money, and then somehow, I don't know if it's graduating, but I found myself now from begging, because I wasn't getting enough, I started stealing. And these guys that you see snatching and running with stuff, that was one of me. Yeah. And you know what happens? You can be shot, you can be burned, you can tire, stoned, all that. And actually my brother was a thief as well, and he was actually stoned almost to death. And so that's like, it was like almost it was going to happen. And for me, I was arrested at the age of 9. And
9 years old?
At the age of 9. And as bad as that is, that was my turning point. Because being in prison at that point, I was like...
Okay, chill. How do you go to prison at 9 years old?
Because you know when you're a chokora, and you're stealing or you're begging, ukishikwa unaenda huko ndani.
No more prison. It's not juvenile.
They have one for kids. It was like for whatever up to 19 years old. And then if ukizeeka unapelekwa to zile za wazee zile kubwa kabisa. But it was still one of those places where you're like, how did I end up here? And for me that was like questions I could not answer and lots of regrets. Asking, like, even I remember questioning God about the family that I was born in. I was wondering, what if I was born in another family?
Better family, right?
Yeah, because you think of other families where they have food, they have all this stuff, like their kids don't have to do anything. And what happens for me, I honestly remember praying to God to get out of that situation. I was asking God for two things. I had many things to ask, but I asked for two things: to get out of prison and to get out of poverty. And so when I eventually got out of prison, I was happy, but I went to the same neighborhood, and so family still didn't have anything. Nobody had a job. My mom was actually selling changa, and most of my family members, like, sisi tulikuwa nikaa na provide mtana changa, but you saw that one doesn't go well, and I didn't want to do anything of that sort. And that's when the churches came together, and there's an organization called Compassion International. They took me in, and then there's a church called Deliverance Church Isili, with Bishop William Timising. They built some shelters for us in the church, and we started living in the church, and that whole process started changing who I am. I got people who taught me how to be a man, because imetoka mtaa, even if you're a woman, you hit me, I hit you back. That's
Guys,
the
it's
thing.
not a matter of man or woman, it's a matter of actually fighting.
Yeah, like you're in my face, in my space, I get rid of you. But then growing up in church, you're brought up to be a man, to be somebody who's gonna be important in the society. And one of the most important things that made us believe that we are human beings, that's just like anybody.
Yeah.
So if there's an opportunity, before I would think, man, I'm from Mathare, nobody cares about me. I can't even speak English by itself, because anytime you speak English, you're like taking me out of the equation. Yeah. So you're on this list as but then growing up in church, having friends who made me believe that I can be anybody that I want to be,
yeah.
And I believed in that, and I hanged on to that. And that's how I started doing DJ. I became a DJ. I went through school. Of course, they paid me. They paid everything to do with school. Mm-hmm. I finished school, and so my passion was DJing. And so I started DJing. I started a ministry called Badilika DJs with a friend of mine called DJ Nails. And we went on and on and on, and I became the official DJ of Zaidi Mziki, and we moved across the country, and then eventually an opportunity came up for me to go to the US.
Now we're gonna come back to the US, because Kwetu Kwenda Mayolo is the for us Kwenda Mayolo is the climax of making it in life. Trust me, get over number 2 to angle, and you're gonna be telling us how society then took you with your dreadlocks. When did the dreadlocks come by? Right. And I would love to know about that. And also, as you continue, I want you to remember that there are people who are listening to you and they want to be you. Right. They want to be a DJ, and DJs don't have such a good name right now. Then they might have a good name. Yeah. Right now they don't have such a good name. Including all my DJs. I love you, but still your name is quite discussable. But anyway, when we come back, we have an amazing guest in studio. We have Jay in studio, and talk to us on the hashtag 196 Drive. We're talking about becoming a man in our society today, about going through the ghetto, working hard to earn your name and a place, going through. He was arrested at 9 years old. 9 years old. And then he had to go through the system and become a better man. Bravi, hujashikwa. Hujakula shida. Mbona unaishi kwa madhako? Unapewa allowance. Alafu mna complain life ni ngumu. We all come from different places, don't we? But anyway, we have an amazing show in studio. And we have Ambiro, it's Kikuyu.
Yep.
I'm quite proud of that name. And we're talking about making it in our society today, because 10 years Simbali. The only difference between this and 10 years, I don't want to Lambalolo and yeah. We have like 2 minutes before we go into sports news. You got a chance to go to the States.
Right.
How did you make it?
First of all, to begin with, I went there twice. I went the first time and then I came back.
Yeah. Was it sponsored?
Say that again?
Was it sponsored?
No.
Uli hustle done.
Niku hustle man.
Were you serious?
Yeah, Niku hustle man. So like I said, I was a DJ, official DJ of Zaidi Mziki. So I went with them and we did a tour around the US. And so Nilo Macheki and I said, napenda. And then I came back and then I went back and established myself there, and I started doing music while I'm there, and that's when I started the Saudi Awards and all these events that I'm doing.
But that was not a day's work.
It was not, and that's why I'm like, I've been there for 10 years, but I actually started being effective like maybe 3 years ago, because all that time is illustrated. You have to try and establish yourself, understand the market, how does it work. And one thing I realized is that there's so many African artists who move from Africa, and they go to settle, for example, in the US or UK, but with their gifts and talent. For example, like Nyash. Somebody is there and they're so talented, but because of lack of platform, you end up not having not using your what's the word?
Yeah.
Not using your talent.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, instead of hustling for my own platform, why not create platforms for others? And that's how we started Sauti Awards and Sauti Radio.
I've seen Sauti Awards. I've seen. I didn't know there's a radio, but I do know Sauti Awards. I've seen a couple of Kenyan artists come for the Sauti Awards a couple of times.
Yes, that's like the biggest thing that we've done so far, and it happens every year in end of July. And we have artists from Kenya, from Uganda, from all over that usually come, and the artists who are already in the diaspora, like the African.
You don't call Hot 96 to give an award, though. I think we're supporting enough gospel artists, and we are.
And that's a good thing. Thank you so much. You never know.
No, the gospel artists here is messed up, but we're working on it. We're working on supporting them. We love them unconditionally. They keep messing up, but you know what?
Yeah.
We always say, I had Guardian Angel. Let me tell you the truth. I have Guardian Angel last Friday, and for the first time, I had a gospel artist angry about the gospel industry. I have never felt that nice, because he was really angry.
Yeah, you should be.
He kept saying, if you're not doing it for the Lord, then don't do it.
Right.
And don't use his name. Usitaje Mungu kama humtumiki. Don't mention him.
Yeah.
Say, I'm singing for myself as an artist. Don't use the name of the Lord to get fame.
Correct.
And he was so angry. I was like, what? But I told him we need to.
But I think it's also the time that we are in right now. There's a lot of money, especially for gospel artists. In our time,
is there that much money for the gospel artists?
Compared to my time we didn't have money. We did it for the love of God and for ministry. Right now, there are people who are doing it for God. There are people who are doing it for money. So if you're able to distinguish between the two, then you have your real artist.
Let me repeat what Karian said. Tulianza vizuri. Oh, my parents are not there, and I don't remember that. That's him. He said that. I'm not lying. He said that. And now, when you forget that, you're doing it for your wives and your girlfriends. We have 10 over 10 girls. May the Lord strike them at the worst moments. Anyway, we're going to take a short sports break. When we come back, I want to know what exactly are you going to be telling the youth of Kenya today? If they're listening to you and in diaspora, we can get, or is it Pata online?
Yeah.
How do you move forward from where you are? Because you know it's a process.
Right.
It's not an easy journey.
Yeah.
Times have changed. 10 years is a long time. Yeah?
It is, yeah.
We have a situation where everybody's fighting for something or even for nothing.
Yes.
How do you move from that to become a man of yourself?
Right.
And how do you move from that to actually walk in the path of God without being derailed?
Right.
I hope you're safe though.
Nimeokoka kabisa.
Amen.
Yesu ni Bwana.
Amen. Musema, Bwana ni Yesu Mzee Kenyatta. This is the hottest drive to in the entire of Africa. We have an amazing guest in studio, and we're talking honestly about how being a man, it's not easy, you know, and having to come from the streets and getting arrested at 9. I don't want to think about that. It's quite. My son is 10 years old, so we got arrested, and that's quite something, you know, and it would even take me back as a parent. Let me ask you, out of all that, where were your parents?
My dad was nowhere to be seen. My mom was in Mathare at the same time.
How did she take it?
Of course, she took it very bad. Actually, she had attempted suicide. And not because of only my story, but also because of the whole thing of her trying to make it in life and trying to help her kids, and she could not do that, so she felt as a failure. And that's when she attempted suicide. Yeah. Thank God she didn't die.
I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
And so you went, 10 years, you went, decided you want to start Sauti Academy and all that. What was the hardest thing about all that?
Usually, I would say it's because you are in a foreign land where people don't even care about your African music, they don't care about your stuff.
Even about you as a person, they don't that.
Yes, as a person, it's the same thing. Like, there are so many people in the US who are trying to make it in life. And so, one thing I have to say, patience and diligence in what you're doing, and just being focused. And what am I here for?
Yeah.
What do they want to do? How do they do it? Because you have to do it right. That's one thing about the US is that there's no cutting, there's no shortcuts.
Yeah.
You have to do everything the right way. And so that really helped me.
Hakuna Kenya behind the door.
Hakuna know who.
Hakuna tujue nani.
I'm gonna give you something.
Hatuna kama, hatuna chai na keteba.
Unless kuna kahawa. Kahawa yao ni ile kahawa origi. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I want to, for you to talk about today as we wind up, I always tell people, people will take it the wrong way, but we need to motivate our men today.
Right.
Maybe you've come back here after 10 years and you're looking at it. You might not see it, but we have a broken man in Kenya.
Okay.
I'm saying man is a general reason because we have a man who feels pressured
Right.
to become better.
Right.
We have a man who feels pressured to keep up with a woman
Right.
who's very empowered.
Right.
And I mean, very. You're asking a man to keep up with me and Colin. We're too empowered.
Yeah, I
we know
know.
what we want and it's facilitated.
Right.
But when a man wants to become a man, nobody's facilitating that.
Right.
When a man wants to learn about becoming a man, nobody's caring about that.
Right.
They assume is you're a man, be a man. They don't tell us how being a man is.
Right.
If you're talking to someone who's listening to you right now,
Right.
what would you advise them, considering they are in Kenya?
Right.
Yeah.
And the same pressure.
Yes.
I think for you, first of all, you have to realize what's around you.
Yeah.
Don't forget that the women are empowered, because you guys are, and rightfully so. Don't forget where you are, but at the same time, that should motivate you to even get better. Because just think, if you get a wife and your wife is more motivated than you are,
Yeah.
then what happens next? You have to realize that. And then I think as a man, since even from the biblical perspective, as a man I should be the head of my house, and I cannot lead some place where I'm not even better. Like I'm not. This person is more empowered than me. They are more educated. They know stuff more about me. There's nothing wrong with that. But me as a man have to be well grounded.
Yeah.
And for me, being grounded is to be, okay, I'm the head of this house. What do I require to be a man?
Mm-hmm.
And then be patient. You know, in this generation, we're used to the microwave generation where everything is fast.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, be grounded. Know this is where I want to go. Take as much, whatever time is going to take you, but make sure you are patient in whatever you're doing. Because Israel is not going to take you anywhere. And then put God first in everything that you're doing. It doesn't matter how much people are empowered around you. If you know who you are, if you know what God created you to be, go for that. As hard as that might be, just go for that and then give yourself time. Najua, everything we say time is gonna prove everything. But if you're not umekimbia alafu nakimbia now, you'll be going in cycles. But just be grounded.
I'm gonna play a song. Everybody asks why I love this. Colin is looking at me like, yeah, you have to play that song. It's because one, I'm the most saved and saved person in the world because I think my faith is gonna move a mountain. Someday it will. But I also believe if you're doing it from the heart for God, then I have a theme that people will never maybe emulate, but
Right.
it's let go and let God.
True. That's true.
We are too empowered as women, and I think it is our job to empower the men.
Correct.
If we don't empower the men, we lack a generation of men who can support the strong women. And our men are not weak. We just don't support them.
True.
Let us never mistake that. Our men are not weak.
True.
They just don't get enough support. If you put on a table a man and a woman to get a benefit from something, the woman gets it straight out.
Right.
Because people treat her as the weaker being.
Right.
But we forgot the man needs that power.
Surprisingly, that's the same thing in the US. Like something happens, if like me and you get into a fight, even before figuring out
Who wins?
who was the problem, I'm in
The
in
victim.
trouble.
I'm the victim.
You are the victim straight
All
out.
the time.
And so it's something that's happening across the world. And I think, like you said, the right thing. Women, we need to realize, for you to have a family, you need a man. You need this man to be empowered. If anything, you have sons, you have brothers.
We're raising
If you
them.
don't take care of your sons and your brothers, then what are we going to have in the future? And so let's stick to that and see what happens. Because in your maisha,
We're going to finish this in the next first link of the third hour. It is exactly 3 minutes to top of the hour. But we pay one bill, then I'm going to play you my best, favorite gospel song.
Shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much. What shall I render to Jehovah? Lift your hands. Miracle more.
And I reckon Travis Green featuring Tim Godfrey, and the song is called Nareki Remo, and it says, well, it's one of the most powerful songs of our generation because he asked, what shall I render? Because God has done everything for us, given us life, given us good health, given us the 196 drive, given us our guest today. What shall we render that can even be more than that? Other than saying thank you, Lord. Because it's not by grace, it's not by mercy. We're not special, but we're normal people, but He gives us all that. And now when I start preaching it, I can do that.
Hey, go on, do it.
I can do it. But more than anything, I'm saying thank you because we have you and you're a living testimony. And I always tell people, even we're not going to give thanks for a lot of things, just for the fact that every day, let me make you laugh. I hope you laugh, by the way. Kila siku tukiamka asubuhi, hata ukiokogeta utisha blessings ama miracles every single day. We ask for miracles. But you know what miracles you're waiting for? You're waiting for Jesus to turn water into wine.
Right.
We're waiting for Jesus to turn 5 loaves of bread to serve 10. That's what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
But hey, do you know the small miracles we have? The small miracles is the air you're breathing.
Yep.
The life you're living.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what you have today, someone is dying and fighting for that.
True.
You're fighting for walking. Someone has no feet.
True.
You're fighting for eyesight. You're fighting because you cannot see your future. Someone can see even right now, they don't have eyes.
Yeah.
You're fighting to hear.
Right.
Someone can never hear, they will never hear.
True.
And we forget those are miracles.
True.
We want a big miracle, then we have small, amazing miracles.
Yeah.
You give birth to a kid and they are normal. Now, what is that if it's not a miracle?
That's a miracle.
But we're looking for so many big miracles, we forget.
Yeah.
They're small miracles. Like you switching on your radio and it's on and you can listen to me. That's a miracle.
It is.
You woke up, you can do what you want with your life. That's a miracle.
True.
You have the option to pick, I want to be this person in life. That's a miracle.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing we never understand. When you were in the streets, you never thought this would be you today.
Not at all.
15, 10 years down the line, this is you today.
Yeah.
Now that's a miracle.
Yes, it is.
And you're here telling people no matter where you are, your today is not your tomorrow.
Yeah.
And your past can never determine your future.
Never.
Hey, preacher, I'm about to get a title.
You're not take offering now. I thought you should ask for 3310. I was getting someone happy.
It's 327.
327. But yeah, just what you said is just like sometimes we want these big things.
Yeah, true.
But even the Bible says that the devil come to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
But God has come so that we may have life,
Amen.
and life in abundance.
True.
And as much as we want all these big things, you have life, and that's the most thing that counts. Because right now, as much as I'm not poor, but in American standard, I'm not rich. But to be honest with you, there's a life that I went through in Mathare.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. Like there's a part of it that I can look at it and say, as much as look at Minnesota, man, there's some things I would not have gone through. Kama ningekuna grow ya Kileleshwa and all those other things. And so when you look at your surrounding, don't look at where you are. Just how is life? Who do you have? You have a family. I had a family. I have brothers. I have mom. There's so many people who don't have that. And so you can look around and say, you know what? Thank you God for this. I might need this and this and this, but God has given me this much.
I have this. I have this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming through, and I want you to give your last words to everybody who wants to be an artist, who wants to be a DJ, who wants to be you, who wants to become better than you. Give them advice, considering we're the 21st generation. We are millennials. We don't have patience at all. We think knowing God is not a big deal, so give them advice based on that.
So first of all, don't try to be me. Don't try to be anybody, because you'll never be. Just be the best version of you. Because God created you to be who you are.
Yes.
If you discover who God created you to be and be that, nobody is going to beat that, first of all. And so just discover, what did God give you. Remember, like you told Moses, what do you have in your hands? God has given each and every one of us something. It may not be being on radio, maybe it's just something small, but just be faithful with that small, and He's going to multiply that. And again, for all the artists, manze, if you're doing gospel, manze, tufanyeni injili ya Yesu. Tuache tu mambo mob. Unajua pesa zitakuja. Bible inasema seek first the kingdom of God, and the rest will follow.
We shall.
Tufanye kama ni injili, let's do injili. If you're doing secular, just do whatever you're doing. Unajua. But for me, especially for my gospel brothers, manze, let's do this for Jesus, and that's the most important thing. Everybody else, kama you're in the diaspora, or you're in Africa, and you can make it to USA.
That was what I wanted to ask you. How can we find you on social media?
So, Jay Mbiro, or Jay Mbiro for across everything.
Spell it.
Jey, and then Mbiro is Biro. You know, in the US, you always have to spell your name.
Mera.
Biro. They have to spell. But anyway, I was going to invite everybody to Sauti Awards, July 26th and 27th in Atlanta, Georgia.
Are we getting money for the flight?
However, you're gonna make it there. Just come there and let's celebrate African
So we
gospel
can
music.
negotiate my flight, right?
I don't work for KQ, but you can talk to them. You never know. They might sponsor this show.
Same here, let's get our waves ready. And it's gonna be summer or winter.
It's gonna be summer.
Oh,
Very
let's
hot.
get this.
It's gonna be as hot 96.
Sunny dresses are gonna be coming for that Sauti Awards.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you for
and I
having me.
genuinely hope as Hot 96 been able to come through and maybe give an award or two at some point. Maybe not now,
Yeah.
but at some point we would love to do that because we're trying to support artists all the time.
Right.
And what they're doing, and more so if someone's doing it for the Lord, then I hope they do it right.
You're doing it right. And thank you so much. And you never know, sometimes down the line we want to work with anybody, and Hot 96 is one of them. And for you guys to even have me and have all these artists to come and share their music and their story, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's a two-way street. Have an amazing week. Thank you so much for starting our week straight.
Join the world of Viusasa Entertainment and enjoy the videos you love. SMS the word Viusasa to 40984. Viusasa, connecting you to the videos you love.
Anita Ray and Patrick Agunza on the Hot Drive.